we've got new changes to college football. Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports reporting that this is like oh, no way. But a 16-team college football playoff bracket is gaining support in the Big Ten and the SEC. And this is going, if the Big Ten and SEC want it, it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not directly related to the House settlement, but you can connect the dots here. If the SEC and the Big Ten want it, everybody else is going to fall in line. And the way that it would look is a money-making machine for the sport of college football. As it would go, the SEC and Big Ten would each get 4 bids apiece, so half of the field would be from those two conferences. Guaranteed half of the field from those two conferences. 2 bids would go to the ACC and the Big 12. 1 would go to the group of 6 conferences, so that includes the Pac-12, Mountain West, Sun Belt, Fun Belt, MACtion, and Conference USA.
Okay.
And then you would have 3 at-large bids. So we say at least half of the field would be from the Big Ten and the SEC. You could see upwards of 11 of the 16 teams being from
we know
those two conferences.
One of those bids is earmarked for Notre Dame.
Yeah, that one is.
So it's mostly 2.
That's a.
Oh, you have a 10-win Notre Dame team? Sure.
Okay.
Fine. You haven't played anybody all year, but sure.
But here's the fun part. And I think that this would be awesome. Conference championship games are irrelevant, and they can hurt teams now.
Mm-hmm.
The meaning of them, if you want to continue to do this, is purely a seeding thing, right? 1 and 2 will play, but they won't get punished for it. And here is how. Because with all of the other conferences, their seeding will be on the line. The ACC and the Big 12, hey, 1 or 2, if you get 2 teams in, that game means a whole hell of a lot based on your seeding, okay? But as we saw this past year, teams that weren't playing in conference championship weekend were getting healthy and staying idle, right? And standing by. Here is where it would help those teams out. There would be, in this proposal, a play-in game for the SEC and the Big Ten. So if they're guaranteed 4 teams, the number 3 team in conference play would play the number 6 team. The number 5 team would play the number 4 team. And those are for the 2 remaining playoff spots from the Big Ten and the SEC.
Oh, so now a play-in is good.
Now you have conference championship weekend is a triple header. So you would have 3 verse 6, 4 verse 5, 1 verse 2. And one of those games is purely a seeding game, 1 verse 2. But then the other 2 games are you want a spot in the dance, this is how you get in. And that is how you'd make a lot more money.
Make a lot more money and raise the stakes.
And really give a little bit more of that competitive balance to the playoff, where we saw Ohio State not playing in conference championship weekend, won the whole damn thing. They were just sitting at home licking their wounds from the Michigan loss going, oh my gosh, how do we get up off the mat from this? Well, they did, and boy, howdy did they. They would be playing in a game to get into the dance.
It would be interesting. So it would have been 3 verse 6.
Yeah.
So who was 6 last year in the Big Ten?
I'll get that for you here.
It's not Iowa. Maryland?
No. Illinois, possibly. You would have been, okay, so here would have been your Big Ten conference games. You would have had Oregon playing Penn State. Indiana would have played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Iowa.
Okay.
And then Ohio State would have played Illinois.
There you go.
Okay. So that would have been your Ohio State, Illinois to get in, Indiana, Iowa to get in. From the SEC, it would have been Tennessee playing South Carolina, Alabama playing LSU.
Oof.
Yeah, you want some of that action?
Yeah.
You want some of that action,
Yeah,
boss?
sign
with
me up for
with the
that.
potential. Actually, I think with the way that tiebreakers went, with the way tiebreakers went, it would have been actually Tennessee Ole Miss,
Ooh, that's a good game too.
Bama LSU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sign me up for that.
Yeah. So if you're wondering, would it make sense from the playoff perspective? Because you looked at, we said it when the bracket was released, the number one seed kind of has the toughest path here.
Mm-hmm. Because the seeding situation was kind of like, sure, we think.
If you would have taken just the final college football playoff rankings, because that's all we can go off of
Sure.
in the scenario, we don't know what the play-ins would have resulted in. You would have had number one seed Oregon playing 16 seed BYU.
Mhm.
The winner of that game would have played the winner of Indiana Boise State, which compelling matchup. I would have rather have watched that.
Yeah.
Okay. The 4 seed Penn State would play the 13 seed Miami, and the winner of that game would play the winner of 5 seed Notre Dame and 12 seed Arizona State. Those all that side of the bracket, you got compelling matchups. Okay. So on the other side of the bracket, boys, a gauntlet. Number 2 seed Georgia would have played 15 seed Clemson. 7-10 matchup would have been Tennessee versus SMU. The winner would have gone on to play the winner of Clemson and Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Then on the lower half of that side, you would have had the 3 seed Texas playing the 14 seed Ole Miss.
Ooh.
With a chance to play the winner of 6-seeded Ohio State and 11-seed Alabama.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Alabama, Texas, Ole Miss.
Yeah, all in that bottom quadrant, that bottom right quadrant. But overall, that bracket makes more sense than what happened in this past iteration of the first 12-team college football playoff.
They were never going to get it right the first time. We all knew that. And we knew that some iteration was going to come out of this that was going to be dictated by the Big Ten and the SEC. And we all know this is going to – if they go to 16, we know it's going to go further in beyond not just the college football playoff, but like the whole idea of the 40-team Super League. Like, this is the framework for that.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So in this, if you take last year's college football playoff rankings or whatever, you would have had Notre Dame, Miami, and Ole Miss being at large bids, and South Carolina would be the first team out.
Here's the pitch.
Who did South Carolina? South Carolina had some good wins though last year. Let me see why they would have complained. They would have complained because they beat Clemson at the end of the year.
Yeah,
that would have been the only playoff team that they would have beaten.
Here's the pitch now. Okay, so if you've got a 16-team playoff, you have to have at least double that, so you're up to 32 teams. So let's just go to 40. Okay. Let's go to a 40-team super conference that plays into this 16-team playoff, and you have the bottom 4 teams in relegation, and the next 4 up in the next group of 40 playing to get promoted. That to me is the perfect fix for college football.
Yeah, you're not gonna ever see it.
I know, but to me, like that would keep the motivation. It would keep the bottom half of the SEC, Big Ten, who are just the hangers on of like, hey, no, we're good. No. You want to be up here with the big boys and get these big boy paydays, you got to participate. Yeah. And if you're not going to commit to this, then you can say, like, look, Vandy had some impressive wins this year. Mm-hmm. And when we had all that fun with it, that to me is like if you look at, I hate to make the same comparison, but like you look at English soccer and the structure of that, you look at the motivated teams like the Wrexhams of the world have done all of these things to get back up to playing with the big boys and making real money because there's real investment and you see what they want to do. If you do the same thing in college football, you may not be there every year, but when your cycle does hit, like that's when you strike.
The hard part about that is there is an element of Boise State won't ever have the resources of some of the big teams, even when you
get
the
necessary 2-year cycle.
Even when you get and we see this in like this is the fault in the English football league too, is that even when they get the big payday, right? Say Boise is a great example. They would have moved up and they would have been in the big boy conference. They don't have the resources in that 1 year to compete at the top end. So they get that 1 year payday, then they're back to where they started. Then it's just like this vicious cycle of bouncing back and forth until you get a billionaire owner,
So
or
maybe
or you get Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, right? Just as Wrexham has. And until you get that, they're just in this purgatory of just
So
bouncing
maybe you
back
said
and
it
forth.
as a 2-year window.
Yeah, but then how do you? So they could be at the bottom of the SEC for 2 years, and meanwhile, you have a team that's sitting there and they're like, "Dude, we were like the fourth worst team. We don't deserve to be down here. Like we had one bad year, you know."
But that's
Like,
the thing is like you need to be committed to it for the long haul.
yeah, I like it, but I've always said like promotion and relegation would be good. The hard part is, and we see this with all of these conferences, it's university presidents, and they go to bat for each other.
Oh yeah, because they don't want it because if one of theirs you get one cut somewhere, then it's a knock against you and blah blah blah. But that's the point. Like
they're not sports people, and like every owner of a sports team should be a sports person. We all know that's not the truth.
Which is why I think that the next version of whatever college football is, and I think the same is going to be true in college basketball, has to be devoid of those guys.
Of university presidents,
like they're not a part of it. Like because I mean, look, football. You've coined it so many times. It's the front porch of your university, and we already have general managers and presidents that are overseeing these programs. That's what it needs to be. Like the university presidents, provosts, whatever. They're not a part of this anymore.
Yeah,
that is just as akin to a coach going in and talking about the education of the university. You have no business there. No, I'm dead serious. So you have no business there. That is not your world.
Yeah.
It is so devoid of what you do now as a university president because you have so many other things, and that has become so big. It is beyond your purview now.
I don't disagree with that, but
they don't want to give up the power or that money. That's the problem.
No, as long as it is attached to a university, there's no other way to go.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying.
Mean,
like the next version of college football is basically looks at it and goes, "No, it can't be this." And if you want to be here with the big money guys,
but then that's not college athletics. Then
I mean,
because
it's not
the university president is the person that oversees the entire university, and as long as the athletic departments are attached to university, that university president does have that say.
Yeah,
like that.
The collective bargaining.
I don't agree. I don't disagree with you on it one bit.
I just think the collective bargaining part of this that's going to come is going to force that.
Right. Well, I don't think it's going to force it. Not the university presidents out, the NCAA out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And by virtue, look, they'll be a part of it because, like you said, they are the university president. But I think that they're not going to be completely excised.
Yeah.
But I think that they're
going to be put in their place a little bit more.
Yes, and that's the thing that has to happen next, in my opinion.
And that's like with any business owner, right? The CEO of a company doesn't have his hands in absolutely everything of a Fortune 500 company, but he's the one that has to face, government oversight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where it's at. And, oh, man, it's a mess. But the college football playoff, Ross Dellinger reporting we could see significant changes sooner rather than later with the way that those universities operate.